What's up? Today we're reviewing The Post Office, just Post Office, by Charles Bukowski. So The Post Office stars Charles Bukowski's alter ego, Henry Chinaski, and it's a first-person perspective written from the perspective of Chinaski. This was my first entry into Charles Bukowski's work. I've never read anything he's written before. I've seen some YouTube videos where he recites poetry. The very famous one is, I think, Don't Do It. Let me just check. It's called So You Want to Be a Writer by Charles Bukowski, and he repeats the line, Don't Do It, multiple times. So you can see how I got that mixed up. Anyways, Post Office is one of the most dark, grim, funny, at times hysterical, at times uncomfortable novels I've ever read in my life. It is filled with moments that are fueled with just melancholy and angst and depression and sadness. But he finds a way to fuse them with humor and excitement and fun. It's hard to describe this book because those two things are so juxtaposed, but Charles Bukowski found a way to really meddle them together and make this weird alloy metal of dark, gritty humor about the everyday man. It's really, really good. The character of Henry Chinaski is very well realized, and I think that's because it's basically Charles Bukowski in a wig. He writes about himself, his life at the post office, his many, many years that he served there. Google tells me he worked at the post office for 11 years, and it makes complete sense. The way he picks out the small nuances of working at a place so mundane, it's beautiful. The writing's easy and very understandable. There's no tricks, and there's no pretentious air to it. It's almost like reading the man's journal. It's very, very personal. It's very personal and very conversational, and at most time, it's crass. And the C word is thrown in there like every other page. And the use of that word is very funny at times, and it always cracked me up whenever I flipped through it and I saw it. I'm like, ugh, can't wait to read that word. It's short. I read it in 2 sittings. I finished the first half in one night and the second half the other night. And it's just one of those books that you don't want to put down, even though at times it makes you feel uncomfortable and a bit claustrophobic in your own skin. But it just wraps up so well that when you're done, you feel like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I think I really like this book because of the inner monologue that he kind of has throughout the book. You clearly see what Henry Chinaski is thinking. You clearly live his life through those pages. And because of how dark and heavy-weighted this book was, I think the length is perfectly fine. My version crossed out at about 170, 180 pages, and I feel like 40, 50 more pages of that, it would have been too long. And that's the beauty of it, because in 180 pages, you're completely engrossed, and you feel the weight, feel the pain of this character and what he's going through and the life that he's leading. And it's just raw and powerful, and I was moved when I was done with this book. I highly recommend it if you want to get into Charles Bukowski. This was my first entry into it, and I will be definitely picking up more Bukowski in the future. If you're a bit sensitive or faint of heart, maybe not get into it because it's a bit dark and it tackles some subjects and tackles some things that are hard to read about, and that doesn't make it bad. It makes it very bold, and I like that. I rate this book 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a good solid 90% book. It was my first entry to Bukowski. It won't be my last. I'll be picking up more of his stuff, be it poetry, essays, more novels in the future maybe. Yeah, and if you like this review, just like, subscribe, do all those things, comment, and let's have a conversation going. Let's talk about this. Thank you for sticking around. I do have a podcast as well. The links will be in the bio. I take pretty cool pictures on Instagram if you want to check them out. Link in the bio. And I speak my mind on Twitter. Link in the bio. Thanks for staying along. I'll see you in the future sometime. Guys are out.